All right, let's start with the basics. This is just a vise, jig vise, but we've got that. We have what is called a bobbin, which is this metal piece here that holds a spool of thread, and this bobbin allows you to wrap and the thread comes off as you need it, and a small pointed set of scissors. These are not the very best scissors to use, but they are small enough that I can use them to trim the line and do my cutting of my materials. But this is kind of just a 101 basic jig tying video. I'm just tying up some white ones. These are for my personal use. You can see what that looks like. It's a pretty jig. So, you know, you can make any color you want. It's the fun part about tying jigs, because you get to tie whatever you like and go try it. I pour my own heads also. And I'm going to be getting another mold that makes the fish head style heads. But just take your hook and put it in there back to about the turn. And I always like using some type of adhesive or glue. You can buy glue made for this, but fingernail polish works just fine. I like putting just a little thin coat on my hook. It keeps your thread from slipping, so your jig stays together while you're fishing. So we're going to just start. I know some people make this look so beautiful and perfect lines in the thread, but what this is doing is laying down a bed for these feathers and things to stick to, and it, you know, removes the slickness of the hook by putting this on there. So what I'm gonna do is just wrap up toward the head, go all the way up to the head, then I'm gonna run it back to the back real fast. We'll go back to about the turn of the hook, and then bring it back forward a little bit. And you see, you use your pointed scissors and do all that. Okay, so, but I'm gonna use this, and what I'm gonna do is pull me off a section of this to put on the body. Just pull you off about what you can handle in your hand. Okay, and then take this material here. Okay. Then we'll, depending on how long you want this on your jig, you know, you just go in and out on it, whatever. But I want this to be about 1.5 inch jig. So I'll lay it out there about what I want on my hook. Come back and grab this side, and I can see I need to cut this off. So we'll just cut that off. Take that back forward a little bit further and place that on there. When I first started on this right here, I always do a couple of light wraps on this, because what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to roll this around. You kind of see it turning as I put tension on it, but I'm going to roll this piece around. That way it gives the body, when the jig flipped over, it's on the other side, but it makes body for the jig. So I'm going to run that back forward and just cover some of that up. That should be good enough. All right, so that's the bottom part. It's got feathers on that. Let's make some more for the other side now. Like I said, you can go back to, and you can brush this stuff out to get it all in order. So I'm going to take me another section of that. And I'm no professional at this. I've been fooling with it for a couple of years now, and I know there's probably a lot of you guys that are professional. But this is kind of a do-it-yourself type video. I like doing a lot of things myself, so measure that out right there. Need that cut off. So now we're gonna put that back up there. Now this one I'm gonna hold to that area so it don't roll around. Go back to how far you like for your body length to be, because we're going to be wrapping this part with the chenille. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten that on down real good there. And I like to take it off sometime and look at it, make sure my hair is thick enough, and I like to put a little bit more on there to give it a little bit more body, because whenever these things get wet, this goes down to a real line, you know, small line or small body. So I'm going to put just a little bit more on there. Sometimes this gets messy. All these little feathers flying around. Let's put just a little bit more on there. Okay, I'm going to go back there about 1/4 of an inch, because that's about the size of the body I like. And then bring your thread back to the head and leave it there. All right, so now my jig's got plenty of body. Now at this point, if you wanted to, another material that I didn't go over was these materials here. You got tinsel that you can use for, you know, just extra flash. And then you've got, and tinsel can be different sizes. Here's a piece of blue that's really small. And then you've got this material here is called Flashaboo, and you can get that in a few different colors also. It's just little bitty small strands of I don't know, plastic of some type that has a lot of reflective little dots on it. So if you wanted to use this on your jig, you can. You can pull out a strand of it. And what I do is figure out about the length of the material that I want and make a fold in it. So just fold that. And if you want to put this onto your jig, kind of make a small loop toward the front. You can see that. Then lay it down here on the neck of the jig, and I'm going to lightly wrap this around. And what I'm trying to do here is get one strand on one side of the jig and one on the other. So see, we got the two strands here. Now I can pull this one over this side and pull this one down to this side. Now I can cinch that on down by keeping it right there in that spot. And take my string back to the head. Now I can trim this off at whatever length I like. So now your jig just has a little flash in it. Alrighty. You also got a spring here that you can slide up if you want to, and you know, if your material is long enough, you can take your material and pull it down in this. Kind of keeps it out of the way. And we're going to use the silver. And believe me, they love this material. Usually a little card like this is going to cost you, I don't know, $5 to $8. I mean, and you can usually get 20 or so jigs out of it or something. They love their materials. All right, so I'm going to lay this down right here and wrap it back to my 1/4 inch mark there. Wrap it up a little bit and then bring my thread back to the front out of the way. Now here's where you want to keep all your marabou out of this. I always go this direction with it. And I found whenever you start wrapping this that you want to put a couple of wraps toward the back. If you don't, it'll end up making the body be bigger at the front and small at the back. So I put a couple on top of each other. Then I just start wrapping right next to each other. Keeping this kind of taut there as you're coming around. When you get to the front, put just a little bit more than the rest, because when you tie this down, it's going to get smaller. But wrap it all the way to the head, and then take your string and come back up close to the head and come around right next to the head and kind of pull that tight a little bit. Then you can take your scissors and come back and cut this right here. And what I like doing here is that little excess that I just trimmed off there. Take my whip finisher. This is another tool that you'll need. You don't have to have it, but it makes your life easy. This is to wrap up the knot that's going to hold all this together. So you take your whip finisher, lay it into your string, come back over this side of it, and pull your slack out like this. Okay, the first one, I don't know if you can see the string, but I like to go just onto the chenille just a little bit. Just barely up on it some, so that helps hold that chenille even better. All right, so that was one wrap. Now the rest of the wraps are going to be right next to the head, so you want the string to go down inside. That's 2, 3, 4. And then slide that off there, pull your slack up, tauten that up a little bit. I like doing 3 or 4 wraps a couple times. 1, 2, 3. And pull that tight, so you got 7 knots in there now. Trim your thread off up there. If you ever have a problem with your heads coming apart, you know, you can always take your glue and come back and put a dot of glue at the head to secure that thread, but most of the time you don't. Anyway. I think that'll catch a crappie in the right conditions. So that's it. And we'll go on to another one.